My name is Richard Perham. I'm your compere for today's celebrations. Our next Community Event of the Year award goes to the Save Erko Estate campaign, and it was nominated by Jack Carnegie from the Newtown Neighbourhood Centre. Over a period of 5 months, public housing tenants in Erskineville and residents combined forces to oppose the redevelopment of the Erskineville public housing estate. The redevelopment would have seen this garden estate demolished and replaced with high-rise buildings. The residents would have been moved off the estate for up to 2 years, and the number of housing units on the site was to increase from 146 to over 400. However, there would have been no increase in the number of public housing units, as the additional ones would have been for private sale. The Save Erko Estate C Committee was a community building exercise in itself, comprising half tenants and half residents. The combination of public housing tenants and yuppies fighting together was a unique experience for all involved. And as you know, they won. And to accept the award for the Save Erko Estate campaign, we have Jenny Barron, Jan Flanagan, Veronique Jones, Dominic Quigley, Sue Smeaton and Tad Tietza.
It was a great honour to achieve this award. It was a short, sharp campaign, and I agree entirely with what Tanya said earlier, that it is actually our duty. It's our right as Australian citizens to get out there and fight things, and if you do fight, you will win.
The first thing that 200 odd people who live in this Erskineville welfare estate heard of the proposal to bulldoze it and build multi-high-rise or whatever, multi-rise mixed economy places was about a month ago. And that stunned people. And so they called a meeting, the Housing Commission called a meeting at the Newtown Neighbourhood Centre, conveniently divided into 4 separate sections, divide and rule, if you like. So some of us got out a little leaflet called The Revolt of the Mushrooms, in which we presented an alternative position. When we got to the meeting, there was an agenda which says, welcome and overview, the regeneration project, questions and answers, representatives for future meetings, and so on. Not a word about discussion or, and so on. So we had to, some of us had to move in a bit. And I started off reading this letter out from Joan, who's a very 80-year-old lame woman who looks after her 98-year-old mother. And she wrote this, and she said, Dr. Rev Shorgy should be asked to visit the ghetto-style estate at Erskineville. See report Sydney Morning Herald, July, by so-and-so. Rather than be called a problem area, the Erskineville estate could be promoted as a good style of public housing. Residents are singles, couples, families, all ages, from babies to seniors, many nationalities, and get along harmoniously and keep our surrounds tidy. They do not need regeneration or gentrification. Contented citizens should be more value to governments than financial gain.
I was living in Rochford Street when they built these places, or were building them, and my sister, they were open for inspection, and my sister said to my wife, let's go and have a look. So they came across and had a look, and they said, very nice, very nice. So put in an application form, and they said, okay. So we moved here and been here ever since. Been the only tenant that's been in this flat, and I'm still living here.
I moved in here in 1939, the end of a big depression that we have had, a very big depression. I watched this place being built. This place was a great park that went from the corner of Binning Street right down to Mitchell Road. No Elliot Avenue going through it. That was built after these flats started. And they were built by the government a man came out from England, and his name was Mr. Lucas, to watch the building of these flats. And a woman by the name of Miss Ramage come out from England to pick the tenants who would go in. And before we were picked to come in here, our home had to be inspected to see that we were worthy. So I was a picked tenant. I filled in the form because it was my idea to come down. My husband was happy where it was down there. Anyway, I filled in the form and I picked for the place, and they then took the form to inquire about my husband working, and they discover that he's only working half-time. So they tell me that I cannot have a flat because they don't know that I'm working at this stage. They'd say I can't have a flat because my husband is only working half-time. But then I come out and I say, well, I am working, and between the two of us, we could pay our way. And because we could pay our way, we were allowed to have a flat.
Well, I was really horrified when I was informed in Broken Hill that I was going to Erskineville. I originally was from Sydney, and my housing officer in Broken Hill said, well, could you just go over and have a look and see, because I was coming for medical reasons and I had to be close to Prince Alfred Hospital. But I've never regretted coming here.
Oh, I'm very happy to live here because before I moved to this unit, I lived in Newtown, and Newtown quite a small room for me.
I was slightly distracted this morning by this filming business, which we've been asked to incorporate into this morning's proceedings at the request of some of the residents, and I'm very happy that this is happening, but a bit unnerved by it. So the master planning process is a sort of statutory process that we go through, and we put an application into council to approve that. So anything that we propose has then to be approved by council, and it goes out for another period of statutory consultation where you again have a period where you can make comments.
Isn't it not true that housing, the council is asked to comment on the plan but cannot veto it?
In practice, we go through the normal channels of negotiating with council in the same way as any other applicant would.
But with the provision that if the minister doesn't like council's decision, he can overrule.
I understand that that's the case if push comes to shove, yes.
You're saying that if the council is not happy with what the department proposes, that then the government will take planning control away from the council and exert their will?